You want us to just introduce ourselves?
Okay. What? Okay. Yeah. Hello, everybody. This is Jeff from Paws. Thank you for tuning in. We have this is one of our In the Kitchen series. So I am in our kitchen, as I usually am for these series, and usually I have a guest next to me. And unfortunately, I have an empty seat. However, my virtual seats are filled, and I have two special guests tonight. So we're going to just wait a couple minutes to get a few people on logging in, because it starts at 6:30. It takes a little while for everyone to get in. But our In the Kitchen series, just to talk about that a little bit, is an opportunity for us to be able to come to you in a casual setting and really just have a conversation with folks about dog and cat health. So it might be a food company. We may be expanding it to toy companies, and then of course this is supplements that we'll be talking about tonight. And so we're really excited to have everybody come together in a really easy kind of a just easy conversation. So you are going to have plenty of opportunity to ask questions and just sit and learn. We're talking about CBD tonight, and I can tell you from all of my experience and being in a lot of different meetings, presentations, research, etc., the CBD world is like the wild, wild west. There is a lot out there. There's a lot of information. There are a lot of companies. And it's really hard to discern where all of this comes from. And so we've tried to do that work for you a little bit. But we want to be able to have you have the right tools so you can ask the right questions and make the best decision for your animals, because ultimately that's what it's all about, is helping our animals. When it comes to talking about CBD, we want to talk about where is it grown, how is it grown, where is how it's harvesting, how is it processed, how is it extracted, and everything. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to introduce our two guests. So we have tonight we'll be with the Super Snout Hemp Company. So so tonight at 6:30, this is what we're talking about. And here are my guests. I have in the top right-hand corner, I guess to my right, I don't know, next to me.
And you guys appear.
She's one of the two co-founders of Super Snouts, Super Snouts Hemp Company, Diggin Your Dog, and the Super Snout supplement. So she has been in the pet industry, I don't know, Christy, how many years?
Since 1996.
Okay, so a long, long time. A lot of knowledge and information. So we are very, very excited to have Christy on board. And then Tammy is right there. And Tammy is the national sales manager for Super Snout. And personally, I've known Tammy, I think, since we've been open. Probably 2004, and Tammy has a wealth and been in the pet industry in many different roles, and she's seen a lot, and the depth of knowledge that she has gained with her experience is really tremendous. And so I'm just thrilled beyond anything to have, even though we can't be with us in our kitchen, I'm so glad that we are here together. So I think, Christy, are you coming from?
I'm in Lake Tahoe, California tonight.
Okay.
Tomorrow is my 50th birthday, so we came up here for the weekend.
Oh, how nice.
The big one.
It is a big one. And Tammy, where are you?
I'm in Minneapolis, so I'm representing with my mug tonight.
Oh, so. There you go. Excellent. Okay, we got a couple hands up and a couple waves from people, so that's excellent. So as people come through with questions, ask your questions. We're going to be able to put your questions live up on the screen, and we'll be able to share that with you. So let's get started and talk about Super Snout Hemp. So let's talk a little bit about maybe a real broad overview of what Super Snouts is and Diggin Your Dog kind of is all about and your mission. And then let's get into the Super Snout Hemp Company and just start doing a deep dive on that. So.
Perfect. I'm Christy Love. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Diggin Your Dog, Super Snout Hemp Company, and Stash Tree Company. I've been in the pet industry. I was in independent retail from 1996 to 2010, and when we became manufacturers. And our mission has always been pretty simple. It's to make the best innovative products that we can put on the independent shelf. And that's about it. I mean, it's very simple, and it has seemed to have worked really well for us. We're very customer centric. We try to produce the most honest, best and innovative products available to our customers every time we come up with a product.
Mm-hmm.
So
good.
Whenever you're ready to jump into CBD, we can jump in.
So, I mean, when did you start with the Super Snout Hemp Company then? When did that begin?
So Super Snout Hemp Company started back in 2017, and that was when it was truly the wild, wild west. There was a little bit of risk involved. Other companies pioneered it a little bit earlier than we did. And we kind of looked at what they were doing, and we tried to make it a little more innovative and a little more different. And everybody, there's a lot of good CBD companies out there. Everybody does it slightly a different way. And tonight I'm going to explain to you guys how we do it and why we do it that way.
Okay, well, let's do it. Let's start to, just so we can visualize everything. This is one of their products. They do, I'm so bad at doing this Vanna thing on screen.
I know, it's like reversed. Yeah.
They do chewables. They have various oils. Oops, I'm horrible at this. Oils. And then they've got balms.
We have a balm.
We're going to talk a little bit about later. They even have a peanut butter. Oops. So lots of different ways to talk about it. So let's just talk about why CBD and what CBD can do for our pets, and then why is Super Snouts? What does Super Snouts do differently than maybe other companies?
Okay, Jeff, is it okay if I start from like the beginning of how we source?
Yeah, and I'm going to put you right now. I mean, I'm going to put you full screen so people can kind of see you, and then see you bigger, and then let's see if that works. Maybe it doesn't. Oops, nope. Let's see. Hang on. I'm new to this technology, so let's see where we go. Maybe we'll just leave you where you were. Where you are. Never mind. Got you. We're good.
Okay. So we actually, we begin with sourcing. And what we do is we source unparalleled seed genetics from the seed, and that's important. Some people will clone, some people will use seed genetics to create consistency throughout the line. And so with our companies, we start with the seed. And we also follow strict organic farming practices with everything that we grow. There are a couple of certified organic companies. We are working on an organic certification. A lot of those companies were grandfathered in. But for the most part, any legitimate grower in the country is going to be following organic farming practices. And the way that that's proven in the end result is through our test results and through our COAs. And so I can get into that a little bit later. So the plant grows. Hemp and marijuana is kind of the same idea. The difference is that marijuana will grow on a dry weight basis with 0.03% THC or higher. Hemp will grow at 0.03% THC or lower. That's the only two defining factors between hemp and marijuana. And so within the pilot programs of each state that we buy from, they have to follow those regulations. If they go out and they test a crop and it tests higher than 0.03% THC, the crop is destroyed. So it's in their best interest to make sure, A, that they're following organic farming practices, and B, that they're making sure that their biomass is growing at a 0.03% THC or less on a dry weight basis, so it can continue to grow and be processed. So on to extraction. So we are a little bit different than some companies. A lot of companies use supercritical CO2 extraction. We do not. We use an organic, plant-based, food-grade alcohol, primarily for its ability to be organically sourced. I guess in layman's term, think of an organic Everclear. It's made by plants to extract plants, and you can actually extract hemp or marijuana with Everclear if you ever want to try it. We also use it because it's very efficient at extraction. It is a bipolar agent in extraction, which means it pulls both the nonpolar, which are the fat-soluble constituents, and the polar, which are the water-soluble constituents, out of the plant at the same time. So it basically just creates a simpler, cleaner bond instead of using supercritical pressure and temperature to push the cannabinoids and the terpenes out of the product. In the end, it produces a more complete and robust product. It's completely safe for consumption, and it's recyclable up to 7 times over. So the carbon footprint of using a plant-based organic food-grade alcohol for extraction is much better than just throwing the CO2 away every time. We also support every single product with a COA, both on raw material and finished product. And that will show that there is no residual solvent or alcohol left in any of our products when it's finished. So that's our extraction method. I can go on to talk about how we differ from other companies.
Yeah, talk a little bit about some of the things that you're doing differently that are more unique, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So how we differ. So aside from using the bipolar extraction method, that's organically sourced and recyclable, we also take the THC in every one of our products down to a 0.0% level. And that is done by incorporating a technique called chromatography. And it's a patented technique that pulls the THC completely out of the product. And that's important because pets and people have an endocannabinoid system, but just like their snouts compared to our noses, they have way more receptors and they are extremely sensitive to THC. So why not incorporate chromatography if you have the technology to get it 100% out of the product to be the safest product for pets? So that's what we do. We also are veterinary formulated and approved. Dr. Robert Silver has helped in most of our formulations and approves of them. We work with him all the time.
And just to talk about Dr. Robert Silver, I'll be posting probably tomorrow an interview that he did with Dr. Karen Becker that is really kind of helps sort of in this whole discussion and some of the science behind that. So
yes, he is definitely the leading expert in the pet CBD world, and he has been, for 35 or 40 years. He's about 70 years old right now, and he had his own holistic veterinary hospital in Boulder for decades, where he did a lot of work with CBD and marijuana with pets. So we also are NASC certified as a company, and I want to get into that a little bit. I know, Jeff, you had some questions on that.
Right.
So we joined the NASC back in October. And
for some people who don't know the acronym, what is the NSC?
The National Animal Supplement Council. And what that does is most states and their Department of Ags use the NASC, and Bill Bookout, who is the president, as a default because they haven't been able to come up with anything better on their own. And so even though it's a private entity with private membership, it is extremely strict of how to label, compliance within the states. If anything ever happens to your product and you're labeled, like for stores, it's a good protection for consumer protection. If a Department of Ag person comes in and tries to pull something off of your shelf and it's done incompetently, they will stand behind us with their legal team and get the product back into your store. And so it's an excellent tool. It's completely worth it. And some CBD companies are doing it right now. It just opened up, like 8 months ago to the CBD world. So we jumped on that. I've known Bill Bookout for years, and I have a ton of respect for him. He's one of the smartest people I've ever talked to. So what happens when you become a member of the National Animal Supplement Council is you start with label compliance. And I thought I was really good at labeling. And they said, your labels are pretty good, but we're going to go through an exercise. And I thought, okay, I'll knock this out in about 3 days. It took me 3 weeks with their compliance officer, Katie, to get our labels perfect. And so every caution is correct. Every warning is correct. Every font where it needs to be, active, inactive. You will not see a guaranteed analysis on any of our products. All of the ingredients will be in inactive and active drug format to separate it from the feed side, which gets it out of the regulation of the Department of Ag inspectors that love to frequent your store and drive you crazy.
Right.
And so you start out with that. And then when you go through all of that, and that's the point to where we're at, where our website, our labels, everything is in compliance at this point. Unfortunately, our third-party audit that was going to be done by Ryan of the NASC, who flies down from Seattle, he spent about 3 days in your facility. That was scheduled mid-March, and we all know what happened in mid-March. That is on the back burner until further notice. But once you go through the third-party audit, which we know we're going to pass because they kind of coach you along the way, and they don't want anybody to fail their audits.
Yeah.
after you pass the audit, which is pretty rigorous, then you can display their symbol on your label. And so that's why you will not see their symbol on our label right now. But if you go to the NASC website, you will see Super Snout Hemp Company as a member. And so that's where we're at. Unfortunately, we should have been done with it. We should have the seal, but it's going to be a couple more months or longer, depending on what happens.
But I think that's a really important distinction for your products, and it's a mark of excellence and a mark of all the work that has gone into your product. So, yeah.
And Jeff, it was actually, I know that you recommended that we join the NASC, and that was brought to my attention, and you were one of the deciding factors in that decision.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I mean, I felt from our customer standpoint, it gives us, as a store, it gives us credibility. And absolutely. I wanted to make sure that you were getting the same credibility with our customers. And I think that's really important, and the transparency. And I love that you have the kind of relationship where you listen to independent retailers, and you know, we can have a dialogue together, and it is a partnership, and we really value that. So
it is. Cool. And I really value you guys, and I've been there. You know, I was in independent retail for almost 15 years, and I get it. And I used to love the companies that would listen and participate with me in decisions instead of just doing whatever they wanted and hoping I sell their product. So I get it. So the other thing that we do a little bit different, and this is a big one, this is what differentiates us from most CBD companies in the pet industry today, is that all of our products, with the exception of our tinctures, and we've got 4 broad spectrum tinctures and then 2 isolate tinctures, is made with a water-soluble, nano-sized CBD, which has far superior absorption and a bioavailability compared to an oil. And we're going to go into that and show you exactly how that works with a demonstration in a minute. Sure. We also incorporate the use of these QR codes on every single one of our products. So it's on the tinctures, it was too small to print, so it's on the neck. But like on our peanut butter, you can find it right by the UPC code. You can see that. On the chill out, you can find it again right by the UPC code. And what's really cool about the QR code is you can just put your camera up to it as long as your QR code reader is on in your settings. And your customer can literally look at exactly what was in the raw material test and the finished product test of that product before they even get to the counter. So it's another comfort level and another box that we check as a company.
Right.
And so...
No, I like it's really, and again, it's just another sign of the transparency. And I wish all companies did that, that you could get down to that sourcing level to give everybody the comfort that this is actually what's in the product, or this is, more information. So,
well, absolutely. I mean, it's the least we can do, because these products, they're not $5. You know, they're expensive. They also are pretty miraculous if processed correctly, manufactured correctly, and used correctly. And so we want to make sure that we can check every single box. Again, going back to my retail days, I know how it is, and I want to make every product as if I was calling the shots for my own store in the past. Right. And so that's what we've done. And so what the QR code will show is it will not only prove the potency of the CBD and the absence of the THC in our products, but it also shows that the products are free of pesticides, herbicides, heavy metals, and residual solvents. So that's very important, right, because it gives you a comfort level of this is a clean, high quality extract that, didn't come from overseas. It wasn't grown to clean the soil. Unfortunately, a lot of hemp is grown in China and Russia to clean their soil of the toxins. Hemp has a very high bioremediation rate. And what that means is you plant it in the ground, it grows really fast, and it sucks every bunch of crap out of the soil it can up into itself, and it literally cleans the soil, but what you're left with is an extremely toxic biomass material. So in those countries, whether it's China, Russia, or anywhere in Europe that are doing this, they have tons of biomass. This stuff goes like crazy, and they're like, what do we do with it? Oh, we'll send it over to the US, they'll buy it, and unfortunately, that's the type of product that you might see on the corner gas station when you see $5.99 a bottle. You get what you pay for in this case, and it's never rang true in the world of CBD. And so you want to be very leery when you see CBD at such a low cost, because there's going to probably be a reason behind it. We've been in this for a long time. We source a lot of volume of CBD, and we have our prices set where we're set. And I think it's a very fair the way that we've done it. But there's a lot of companies that make a lot of profit on junk, and so you always want a raw material test and a finished bottle test, and that's completely different because the raw extract is what comes out of the plant, and so we test that, and that's what we test the pesticides, herbicides, heavy metals, etc. for. But then, and that's easy to hide once you dilute it. So you think like 600 milligrams of 28,000 milligrams of carrier oil in this bottle is the CBD. So it's easy to hide stuff in the finished bottle. So the finished bottle test is really only for potency and absence, or the proof that there's less than 0.3% THC in the bottle. So that's pretty much how we differ as a company. There are a lot of good ones out there. We just try to check all the boxes that we can.
Right. No, exactly. And I think that's important to recognize that there's some really there are reputable brands out there, but it's hard to sometimes ferret out all of that. So this at least gives people some tools to be able to use, to ask the right questions, to find out.
Absolutely. We want people to feel comfortable in their purchase with us.
Right. Sure. Exactly. Okay. So do you want to go through, I know you've got a couple of graphics. How do we want to do that? Let's talk a little bit about now going into, okay, how does CBD work? Now that we've processed it, we've grown it, we've processed it, we've bottled it, or we put it in a chew, now why do we want to give it to our pets?
Yep.
A little bit what the endocannabinoid system is and how that the receptors and how all of that works.
Yeah, and a ton of misconceptions on how this stuff actually works. I gave a talk at the Mohegan Sun Pet Food Experts Homecoming Open House last September, and I gave it to about 300 accounts, and not one person in the audience knew how CBD actually physiologically works once it goes into the pet's body or once it goes into their body. And so the whole presentation it wasn't about our company. It was just about to inform people how this stuff actually works and to dispel a lot of the misconceptions that are out there in the market. And so now that we've given you a background on how we operate from the seed to the finished product, we'll talk about that. So, and this gets kind of technical, but I had our graphic artist, who is also a comic strip artist, put this into 3 slides, which was, I think, one of the most difficult jobs I've ever given him, because it's a simple process. It's also very complex at the same time.
Right.
So we're going to try
to do.
I am going to, after this is done, I will take those graphics will appear in our Facebook feed. So you'll be able to have pictures of it. I just, from a technical standpoint, wasn't able to get these to show up on the screen, but we will be available to you. So Tammy's doing her best to kind of show what the brain looks like and how it works. So
that's good. Okay. So we start with every mammal has an endocannabinoid system. Humans have it, dogs have it, cats, on and on and on. And there's 3 main components that you should know. If you can remember anything from this talk, it's the 3 main components and how they work within the endocannabinoid system. So there's the receptor, which are those little blue cups at the bottom of the dog's head. And those receptors are supposed to be getting those yellow dots, which are your own natural endocannabinoids, which is the second component of the endocannabinoid system. So you have the receptors, you have your body actually makes its own endocannabinoids, right? So endocannabinoids are made within the body, where phytocannabinoids or cannabinoids from cannabis are going to be grown in a plant, and you're going to be putting them into your body to supplement your own endocannabinoid activity. So we've got the receptors, we've got the 2 main endocannabinoids, those yellow dots, but those little red boxes in between the receptors and the endocannabinoids are metabolic enzymes, and they are there to regulate how many of the endocannabinoids get through and into the receptors. Unfortunately, sometimes they over-regulate and they over-metabolize these endocannabinoids. That's where the imbalance is created. And so when that happens, you're off balance, you're out of homeostasis, your system is thrown off. And what can result? Inflammation, anxiety, discomfort, allergies, sleep issues. I mean, run the gamut of anything you can think of can come from some of these imbalances. And so it's basically your own metabolic enzymes overreacting, over-consuming your own endocannabinoids and not letting them get into those blue little cup receptors on the bottom of that dog's head. And so what happens when you're about to become deficient, if you are lucky enough, or if your dog is lucky enough for you to get a supplemental phytocannabinoid grown in plants, these little buggers go in. And so the CBD, the CBN, the CBC, all of the constituents of the plant extract, a big misconception is that these go in and they go into the receptor and everything's good. What a lot of people don't know is there's a big misconception that phytocannabinoids grown from plants, or the CBD that you put into your body, never ever directly interact with any receptors. But what they do is they go in and they're able to metabolize those little creepy enzymes that are metabolizing your endocannabinoid. So it's kind of becomes like a football game. So you can see the green crosses, which are a supplemental CBD. They can go in and they can actually metabolize those two enzymes. And when that happens, you can see what happens. Your own endocannabinoids, the little yellow balls, are able to sneak through and get to the goal, and they get into the receptors. So it's all about these going in and helping your own system work better. They don't go into the receptor themselves. And so as you can see at the end, when the system is now saturated, the endocannabinoid system, all of the endocannabinoids are getting into the receptors, the dog is happy, and all of our little phytocannabinoids are holding those metabolic enzymes at bay, and they're actually metabolizing them and destroying them. And so that is actually in 3 slides how CBD works in your body.
So it's like a little team of players that are holding the line, like the the front line that are just holding that back, and so everything, your own system can work.
Absolutely.
Basically. Yeah.
Yep.
Like that. That's easy. That's a nice, clean way. It's not, to understand that. So thank you.
You're welcome. And then if you guys have on this, I would love to answer it later, because it's very important that everybody knows how this product works. Like I said, it's not a cheap product. It's an expensive product to buy if it's done correctly, but the benefits are outstanding and undeniable if it is done correctly. And I'm hoping that people get to see the benefits of a good product.
Right.
And so, so right now there's 3 I want to talk about the technologies that exist in the market right now in CBD and which one we are using. So there's 3 technologies. There's only 3 delivery formats known in science and technology right now in the world of CBD. And that is a standard oil, which is a tincture. And then there's a product that we don't do, but it's called a liposome, and that's a micro emulsion, which kind of brings it up to anywhere from 100 nanometers to 1,000 nanometers in size. It breaks the oil droplet down. We kind of leapfrogged that whole process, and we went straight to a nano emulsion process. So you have your cells in your body, and your cells are floating around. In order to get good cell penetration, once the dog swallows the product, and we're going to get into that of why does the dog even have to swallow the product? Well, because they do. Nobody don't hold this in their mouth like they're supposed to.
Right.
And so our nano CBD gets down to 25 nanometers in size. So you have an oil droplet, this one, 2 million nanometers wide. That is not going to penetrate a cell, because again, you need 75 nanometers or less to penetrate a cell. Then you have liposomes that are 100 to 1,000 nanometers in size. Again, at best, they're still 25 over cell penetration size. So our process for our nano emulsion water soluble products is 25 nanometers. So we're at 1/3 of what's needed to penetrate into the cell and absorb and have excellent bioavailability in the system. Mm-hmm. And what's cool about it is you can eat water soluble CBD. So many companies will tell you, and they should, and we tell people the same thing. This is an oil. Do not put it on the food. Do not even give it to your dog within 15 minutes of eating or drinking water, because we want it to absorb in the mouth, right? Because it does not absorb in the gut and liver, and we're going to show you that in a minute of how that works in a really cool demonstration. So my question is, why would you take an oil without making it nano-sized that can penetrate the cell of the gut and liver, and not only put it into a treat or a soft chew or a biscuit, but heat process bake it in there and then say that's okay for your customer? So we were kind of looking at that going, we're not going to do that. So all of our soft chews they use water soluble, and all of our edibles that any dog is going to eat, like our Nutty Dog, our Chill Out Chews, our gel caps, all of those products beyond the oils are going to use a water soluble format because we know the dog is going to eat them. And they are also cold processed. The soft chews are cold pressed, and then they go into a drying room at about 125 degrees for a couple of hours to dry them, and then that's it. So no heat is added. We're not putting oil in our products. We're using a form that can actually be assimilated by the cells once it goes into the body.
And so the benefits, I guess, talk a little bit for a second, like the benefits of cold press. Like, why would someone want something that's cold press?
So cold press, again, you don't want to take the CBD, you definitely don't want to take an oil and just infuse it into a treat. You want to make it nano because the dog's going to eat it. You know, back to like, you don't put oil on the food. Why would you put it in a food and sell it, you know, in the form of a cookie or a soft chew? And there's a lot of studies being done right now on heat processing and what it does to break down CBD. So we don't want to bake it in an oven. We don't want to take an oil and bake it into a treat. So we use the water soluble powder, and it's cold pressed. So it's done through like it goes into this machine where all this dough is created, and then it goes through like a little cylinder, and then it's chop, 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 chop. And then we have these little, let's see if this is open. Open it for you. Then we get these little nuggets.
Yeah.
And then they go into the drying room, and they never go higher than 125 degrees.
Okay.
I stood in the drying room, and I was in there for about 5 or 10 minutes. I didn't die. I didn't dehydrate.
And the nuggets are, I mean, just so everyone knows, the nuggets are soft. They're soft. They're easily chewed up. They are, I mean,
they are. They are, especially our third generation.
Even for dogs that don't have great teeth, you can, they're almost crumbly too, so you can break that. You can eat them however you have to do that.
Yep.
So,
Yep, and they love them.
Yeah, they do. They're very palatable, that's the key. Is like none of this works if you don't get it in the dog.
Right.
That's what's really important. So, okay.
So
no, go ahead.
I was going to say Tammy was going to do a really cool demonstration that simulates your gut and liver as a water environment, because it is. Your gut and liver is not an oil environment. And again, with the oils, you know, you put things in the pet's mouth, and the standard absorption time for a standard CBD oil or most health tinctures in your mouth is 90 seconds. I can put this in my mouth and I can talk funny and walk around the house for 90 seconds, no problem. But what we were looking at is what dog or cat is going to hold this in their mouth for 90 seconds to get the full absorption.
Right.
So we wanted to make sure that any product that we made beyond this, and it's still, you do still get some absorption from an oil, but not nearly what you get in a water soluble product that goes through the gut and liver. The oil will work faster because it absorbs the submucosal lining of the oral cavity is a fat soluble environment, so it does absorb oil. But the minute it goes down the throat, or obviously the minute it gets spit out, it's worthless. And I'm going to show you why right now.
So it's at I guess we'll get into this a little bit later, but if you've got a bigger dog, because the chews work there's one chew for every 25 pounds, right?
Yes.
So if your dog if you have a 100-pound dog, then you're 4 chews. And if it's twice a day, that's 8 chews.
Yeah, that's crazy. And we have an answer for that. When Tammy goes through the products, she's going to show you how to build our products for the best value by using our gel caps and then our Super Snouts powdered non-hemp supplements to go with it. And it's a great savings to big dog owners.
Yep.
Right. And I think that's key, because I'm just trying to help people understand why we carry the oils, you know, why you make the oils, why we carry the oils versus the chews, and who might the oils be appropriate for, etc. So
basically, the oils were kind of the foundation when CBD started, and they're the most widely accepted and easiest to make product in the world of CBD as a manufacturer. And so they're just an accepted standard, but there are better ways to do it. And so we keep our oils because a lot of people like them. People get good bioavailability, according to them, out of them. But we know in the chart that we're going to show you, in the demonstration we're going to show you, that it's very clear scientifically that water soluble is a better absorption in the gut and liver. The only drawback is that oils will work faster. They will work within 5 to 10 minutes once absorbed into the oral cavity, where these have to go through the digestive tract. And so you're looking at more like On the low end, 30 minutes. On the high end, 1 hour. So we always say about 45 minutes if you're going to take your dog to the groomer or put him in the car to travel or the fireworks are going to go off. Make sure you give your dog a little time to actually get this penetrated into the cells of the body.
Okay. Gotcha. Good. Okay. Tammy.
So I'm going to show you the little demonstration that Christy keeps talking about. So it's a little science. So I have a couple water jars, and if you think of this as your gut, so our gut is a water environment.
Right.
And what I'm going to do is I am going to put some oil. So this is, as Christy was mentioning, if your dog really isn't going to be able to hold it in their mouth for 90 seconds, right? So when we think about people putting oil on food, or we think about them putting it in a biscuit, this is going to kind of demonstrate what it looks like in the gut.
And that's why if you do the oils, you want to make sure that it's at least 15 minutes or ideally 30 minutes before or 30 minutes after they've had anything to eat or drink.
Right.
Just because they can keep it in the...
Mm-hmm. So in here, you're going to see I've got my oil. It's dancing on top of the water. And I'm going to shake it up. And just because it's your stomach, it moves.
Right.
And we're going to see that oil is going to come right back to the top of the surface. So the bioavailability in the oil, you can see it's really separating once it hits the gut. So I also now have our...
Does that eventually then get absorbed by the gut?
It passes, actually.
Okay.
Yep. So you're going to pass that out. So I have our water soluble. This is what it looks like. It's really cool. It looks like a powder. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. But what this is actually tiny oil droplets. So it's a really awesome product. I'm going to put a little bit into a new water container. And so this is really going to visually show you what Christy's been talking about. That this absorption rate when it goes into the stomach, you can start to see that my water-soluble CBD is already starting to absorb into that gut. So I'm going to shake it up, and we're going to see what happens. So I have basically now my cloudy substance where the water-soluble CBD is actually just absorbing into your gut and liver.
Okay.
So unlike an oil, where if you are putting it in or on food, a biscuit, you're getting all of this residual that's sitting on top and just passing through the system.
Okay.
Where with the water soluble, that's why we talk about how much more bioavailable it is.
Makes sense. Great.
And it's cool to see the powder.
Right.
It's cool to see what it looks like.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess then why don't we start sort of working through the products at this point, because then this I think is where people are going to have questions on, and chime in everybody. So if you've got questions, and if you know of friends who have questions, tag them in the comment section, invite them in. It's not too late to join us. So we can, our whole goal here tonight is just to have everybody's dogs and cats be more comfortable, whether that means joint support, anxiety support, immunity support. We just want to be able to support them through this technology and these natural products. And that's our goal tonight. So you kind of know what you might need to help your own cat. So sort of walk through what those options are.
Sure. And I think there's one last thing before we move on, if we can. We have a diagram we want to show everyone. With the absorb, and Christy's going to hold it up for us if while I talk about it. So in January of 2019, that looks good. Dr. Raj Gupta, who has a PhD in pharmaceutical engineering, and then also Dr. Robert Silver, who Christy's already mentioned, that he actually helped formulate some of our products. A veterinarian, and he's an expert in the pet endocannabinoid system. They took a healthy beagle and they did a test at Colorado State University. And so what this diagram that Christy's holding up really shows you, so they administered the same exact extract technology that we use here at Super Snouts. So they used a standard CBD oil, and then they used a water-soluble CBD. So the pink line is our oil, and then the blue line is our water-soluble. And so what they did is they took the beagle, they administered the oil. And so right here, what we're seeing is the CBD concentration in the bloodstream. So we're at a half hour, an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours. When you look at the water soluble, you can see the penetration, the concentration into the bloodstream is way, way more absorbable. So this goes back to some of the things we talk about on our packaging, where we have, we suggest to administer twice a day. So in the morning and the evening, we understand people have jobs. And so you can look at this diagram and see around hour 4, you're getting a significant drop. So from 2 to 4 hours, you're dropping significantly. And at 8 hours, you're dropping again. And so that's why we're telling consumers you want to administer this at least twice a day. You want to keep that level set of CBD into the concentrate into the blood. So this is a really amazing study that they did with showing how water soluble has more concentration into the bloodstream. It's really neat.
Yeah.
Thanks, Christy.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll get into our oils first, I think, if that's okay with you, Jeff.
No, it's perfect.
Perfect.
So I want people to understand the difference between your regular Fido and your iso hemp, because and then why you want to use either one of those. So yeah.
So Christy, do you want to talk about why an isolate versus the Fido? Oh, I think she's muted.
Oh, sorry, I've muted her. Sorry, sorry, Christy. I know. It's like feedback.
It really comes down to personal preference. Broad spectrum oil, our extracts, and we'll get into also the number on the jar. I think that's really important. But our broad spectrum seed genetics, their biomass grows at about 80% CBD upon extraction, which is an excellent strain. Most companies out there are anywhere from 30 up to about 70. So we've reached a number at 80% on average. It can go as high as 90 with our broad spectrum. And then the rest of it is other phytocannabinoids and terpenes. So you've got the terpenes that are, it doesn't have anything to do with THC if it's like stinky chronic. It actually is a defense mechanism, and it's the smell of marijuana. So and there's all kinds of smell. That's the terpenes. You also have what's called a minor phytocannabinoid, which can be a CBC, a CBG, a CBN, and there's a plethora of those as well. And so ours grows at about 80%, and then the rest of it are other minor phytocannabinoids and terpenes. And so it's great because you get like a broad spectrum entourage effect of getting the whole plant. The cool thing about isolates, though, is that you're getting 99.5% on average pure CBD. And if you look at the only drug that's been approved by the FDA that's been for hemp for children with epilepsy, it's not a broad spectrum, it's not a full spectrum, it's an isolate. And it was approved in 2018, and it's called Epidiolex, and it was made by GW Pharmaceuticals. And so, like my wife, Dawn, she prefers isolates all day long over broad spectrum, even for pain, even though most isolates are geared towards seizures and anxiety and aggression. She prefers them all day long. So it really does come down to personal preference, and it comes down to trying them out, sampling both of them, and see which one you like the best. Mm-hmm. But we are one of the only companies that doesn't isolate. We get a hard time from a lot of our competitors because of it. But GW Pharmaceuticals spent $2 billion researching Epidiolex for Dravet syndrome and epilepsy in children, and the FDA approved this product for those issues, and it is working really well. The problem is that it's $15,000 a year for the therapy, but isolates are amazing, and so it really depends. And you know exactly what you're getting.
Oh. I know.
Oh,
okay.
So you know exactly what you're getting. You're getting as pure a form of CBD as possible, but you are not getting the downside to an isolate is you are not getting the other entourage effect of the broad spectrum of all the other minor phytocannabinoids and terpenes. Those are all gone, and the CBD is isolated out. It is always also a 100% THC-free product. because again, it's just the CBD suspended in the carrier oil.
Okay, perfect. So, so if your dog has more anxiety issues or a history of seizures, then perhaps the isolate is something that you would want to key in on in the oil, because the isolates are only available in the oils, right?
Yes.
Okay. So would that be more important? Say your dog has a history of seizures. Would it be better to do the oil for the iso hemp oil versus the more broad spectrum chew in that?
I still have a huge love affair because science can't lie, and the water soluble broad spectrum I feel is a superior product.
Okay. Okay. What the iso hemp is, if someone would like to enter into it, the iso hemp is a little, because it's just CBD and not full spectrum. It's a little bit lower price point than regular, the regular 300, the regular, the regular.
We have had incredible testimonials on seizures with our isolates. That's a hard question. It really depends. Trial and error with this. Also, trial and error with dosage. We offer a baseline dosage that Tammy's probably going to talk about. Yeah. We use Robert Silver's baseline dosage that he used throughout his practice for decades, and it seems to work really well. But every dog is different. Every cat is different. All
the metabolism is different.
Metabolism, what you're eating, how much you're moving, and so it really is adjustable. And it's extremely hard to overdose a dog. We have had a dog, I don't know if you know Diana Farrar from Fifi and Fido's down in San Antonio, but she had a customer, or actually it was one of her employees' dogs, ate 2 full jars of 30 count. One out and one hemp and joint. And she called me after the first one. She goes, "What do you think?" And I go, "Well, maybe run it by the vet. The dog's fine. It's 150 milligrams of CBD, right?
Yeah.
Nothing that's going to really do anything and to hurt the dog." And then she called back a little while later and she goes, "Oh my gosh, my employee's dog ate another jar of hemp and joint this time." And I go, "Well, maybe you should." Nothing happened to the dog. The dog was fine.
Right.
But, there was about a 2-month period. I was just telling Tammy the other day where it was like the doggy pod, Tide Pod challenge, where it was like a month and a half of all these people writing in going, oh my God, my dog just ate an entire jar of your 30 count.
And I'm like, testimony to the palatability. So right. Plastic to get the treats. There's got to be something good in there. So that's good. Yep. Yeah, but they're safe, so that is true. And we have a history of using them in our family for for ourselves and for our animals, and they've all done quite well on them. So it's helped a lot.
Cool. Awesome. And I think the other thing on the oils that I just want to mention while we're on the topic is how to read the number on the back. So when it says Fido 150, Fido 90, because that can be a point of confusion. So the way that you figure that out, and I'm going to hold up the 90. So the Fido 90, so they're in this bottle, there are 30 milliliters. So there is it's a 1 milliliter dropper. In one full dropper, there are 3 milligrams of CBD. So when you take that 3 times the 30, you're getting 90. Okay. So when you look at then
standard across oils, right? Other brands and things too, they generally, if they're doing the same size bottle, which is a 30-day supply for a 50-pound dog, generally it's the same. You're kind of still talking apples to apples for most other brands, right? When you're talking about the number.
Sometimes, yeah. It depends on the company. Yeah, I think it depends on the company. You just want to make sure you're
at least so you know how to read the label to figure out how they're coming up with actually what CBD is in the bottle, and then it goes to the fridge. So it is a little strange, and it takes a while to get used to.
It does. Yeah. And so the easy way, like if you look at our the Fido 150, if you take a look at the back of the bottle, it's actually going to tell you how many milligrams just right here. It's very tiny, but this has 5 milligrams per dropper. So it's a nice, easy, quick way to be able to figure out, how much, like where we're coming up with that 150, the 300, the 600. So when we get into the 600, as a consumer, you're getting in one dropper full, you're getting 20 milligrams of CBD in here. So like Christy and I always like to say, as a customer, we have this great entry level product priced. If you're new to CBD and you're like, I'm not sure, the Fido 90, it's a great value for around $19.99. But you want to buy what you can afford because you are getting more CBD as obviously that number goes up. So having a large dog, and I'll get into that with some of our water soluble stuff as well, but what you can afford, you should be buying to what you can afford.
Makes sense. Perfect.
So all of the other products, if we want to move on, so that is our oil set. Everything that I'm going to show you moving forward has all of our water soluble technology.
So even your bombs?
Even the
bombs.
The bombs do not.
Okay.
So this is our human. This is this is the last thing we're going to talk about.
Okay.
But we can that's a whole separate human category.
Okay.
I have that last, Jeff.
I'm sorry.
The little doggy balm,
And that one
because it goes on the skin.
Right.
Okay.
And so this one is not the nanotechnology. This is an oil as well. So this is great. Yep. So this is great. You want to apply this where they don't have a lot of fur. So that's the biggest thing. So if you're looking for some discomfort, your pet may be going through some discomfort for, maybe joint issues or arthritis. This is a great thing to apply. You can do it in between the pads, on their feet, in their ears. So just wherever they have the least amount of fur is what you want to do for the balm. And this has 150 milligrams in the entire container of CBD on this one.
Excellent.
So now the rest of the pet line that I'm going to talk about has the water soluble, the nanotechnology. So the first one I'm going to start with in the canister. So one of the things that I want to show is there's two different sizes in the full lineup of chews that we're going to talk about. And the first one being we have that entry level. This is our 6-count little tube that we offer, and this is in all of the varieties that we have, but this is a great trial size. This retails for $9.99, so it's a great entry price if you've never tried CBD. It's a fantastic little trial size. And then we move up into our 30 counts. I just feel like I'm trying to move it in the wrong way.
No, I'm good.
It's like so deceiving.
I'm horrible at this.
So the first one we're going to talk about is Plain Jane. So all of our chews have the 5 milligrams of water soluble nano CBD in them. So all of the chews, the soft chews I'm going to talk about, they all have that water soluble technology. There's 5 milligrams per chew. The Plain Jane is fantastic. So this one does not have any additional functional items put in there. So this is great if you're already giving a lot of supplements, that you're doing other supplementation and you're looking for just CBD. This can be administered every day. So this is a fantastic one if you're looking to incorporate CBD into your pet, into their regimen. So this is a fantastic one. Again, it's 1 chew per day for a 25-pound dog. So you can easily, as Christy showed, break them in half. So you do half in the morning and then half in the evening. That is a guideline, just so everybody knows, for administering, as Christy had explained before. If you feel like you are not getting the results that you're looking for, you can dose up. If you are getting the results you're looking for, that's fantastic on that typical dose.
Yeah, perfect.
Next one I'm going to talk about is the immune support. So this one's going to go through a little name change. It is going to be called Hemp and Shroom. So this one is fantastic because it incorporates 750 milligrams of our Super Shroom Organic 7 Blend medicinal mushrooms.
And that's kind of another presentation, but we love the Super Shrooms. That's an amazing blend. And mushrooms, that's a whole other conversation about mushrooms, but they truly are magical and can do so many good things for your body. And so Super Shrooms is a terrific product. And I've asked some questions on that one too. But
you're going to be happy because amazing Christy is launching Turkey Tail.
Oh, good. Good.
Yep. So that's next week. Yes, it's coming. It's coming. In addition to that blend of medicinal mushrooms, we're actually adding 100 milligrams of astragalus root. to help balance the immune system. So this is a really fantastic. Mushrooms are immunomodulators. So what that means is if you have a disease that maybe that is underactive, so it's something as such as like a degenerative disease, it's going to balance it up. If you have allergies, that's crazy overreactive, it's going to balance it down. So this is great for everyday for use of any kind of autoimmune issue that your pet might be having. I use it for allergies. So I have an itchy pit bull. I have an itchy pit bull.
Especially this time of the year because there's a lot of itchies.
I know, and it's
out there, and the grass
is just
else, and a lot of dogs suffer from seasonal allergies. So
yeah, it's crazy. Like the pollen is nuts here.
right.
The next one I'm going to talk about is the Hemp and Joint. So this is a fantastic formula. This one incorporates in each chew. There's 300 milligrams of our joint power. So this is the joint power is 100% greenlet muscle. So we have that also in a supplement that doesn't have any CBD, obviously, that you can incorporate. And I'll talk about in a minute here with one of the other products that we have. So how greenlet muscles work is they're packed with omega-3 fatty acids. So what they do is that they're actually helping to tackle inflammation in the joints and the connective tissues. So this is great for dogs that have mobility issues. This one I have given to my dog for the last 3 years. Even before I worked here, I was giving this product. And so this is fantastic. This is a tried and true if your dog has joint issues.
And wouldn't you say even before your dog has joint issues to maintain that? I mean, so we're all about, let's avoid having the joint issue. Don't assume your dog or your cat is going to have a joint issue, that it just comes with old age. If you supplement at a young age, you can avoid some of that systemic breaking down of the joint fluid and reducing the inflammation. So if you feed correctly, you supplement correctly, then you don't have those. Sometimes we're just grown up with assumptions that, well, my dog's going to have joint issues, when 10 years old or 8 years old, but let's start thinking about it when they're 5 years old, 4 years old,
And Rosa is 7.5. And so she was 4, and I had taken her and didn't realize I had an x-ray done, and she has a hip that sits out of joint a little bit. And so from that moment on, I'm like, okay, there is something here that I have to, be conscious of and mindful of.
Right.
And that's when I started the Hemp and Joint. So she really wasn't having any kind of limping or arthritic type issues even. And I started her on it immediately. So it's a very good point.
The synergy between CBD and greenlet muscle is incredible. And so that's one of my favorite products. It really does. It's a 1-2 knockout punch for dogs. The only thing is that I wouldn't do is if you have a puppy and you are going to start proactively taking care of and lubricating their joints, you don't want to start giving CBD until the dog's about 8 to 10 months old, because you want to make sure the bones are growing on their own. The bone growth is intact. CBD is excellent for bone growth, and you don't want to fast forward that at all. And so every vet and every scientist I've talked to is 8 months is really the lowest. You want to do maybe 10, 12 months before you start giving the dog a lot of CBD.
Good point. That's a good point. And puppies really don't need that, or kittens. I mean, they're fine. So
their owners think they do, but they don't.
And the last product in the chews that I'm going to chat about is the Chill Out. So this is our number one seller. So this incorporates the passion flower, the chamomile, the L-tryptophan, and this one packs a punch for your dog that's freaking out.
It's one of the most popular chill out products that we have. So
totally.
Great feedback from this product.
So this is great in situational things. So 4th of July, right? Rosa freaks out every year. If you have a grooming event, traveling in the car, this is a great product to try. And like Christy mentioned, you want to administer this at least an hour before you're going, because this is that water soluble technology. So it does need to process through the stomach. So you want to make sure you're administering it sooner. Yeah. The other product, that's
where the travel ones come in. Yeah. It's really handy, particularly. I mean, I'm showing the Hemp and Joint, but the Chill Out one is really nice to have because you can just keep it in your packages, have it handy and ready to go when you need it. And you can try it without investing in a whole tub to make sure, is this really going to work? How's my dog? Jeez. How my dog react to this? So
yeah. And the other cool thing is, yeah.
Oh, do you want to let the cat out of the bag on the new
product? I was just going to say the other cool thing. So the Hemp and Joint and the Chill Out are such amazing sellers that we are actually going to create. Christy is creating a 60 count. So those will be coming. Do we have a time yet?
They should be, they're in process now, so they should be done, I'm thinking mid-May. What's really cool is you've got the $9.99 price point for the 6 count. You've got the $45 price point for the 30 count. But if you're in a multi-dog family or you have a large dog, if you buy 2 of these, that's $90. Our 60 count, which is going to be the same as 2 of these, but because it's less processing, it's less packaging, it's going to be offered retail at $69.99. So you save $20 than if you were to buy 2 of these. So it's a really good value for mega dogs and multi-pet families.
Right.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's great news, because that's definitely something that we will bring in and have for our customers. So yeah, absolutely. Good.
So the other product that I wanted to mention in the dog setup is the Fido 300 gels. Yep. And these are fantastic. They're very small in size, so it is not like you're trying to shove a big pill down your dog's throat. The cool thing is this is the water-soluble technology in here, and there's 10 milligrams per capsule. So anybody who has a large breed dog, they're really going to blow through those chews like you and Christy were talking about earlier. This is a fantastic option for those pet parents who have bigger breed dogs, and they're looking for getting that CBD. A cool combination is the joint power, and adding this, you've just created your own hemp and joint, or adding our super shrooms. That one, you're creating your own immune support. So you can really do a lot of different things with this product. So it's fantastic, big dogs, and you're going to save more money than if you're buying the canisters of chews.
Yeah, a lot of people have asked, like, well, what if I want immune and joint? Do I give both chews? And I can't give both because then the dosages will be off. Where with the gel caps, you can do the gel cap, you can do a little bit of hemp, or a little bit of green lip mussel in our joint power and a little bit of mushrooms, and you can do it all in one.
Yep.
Yeah, no, and we carry all the supplements in the shop, and they're online. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah. It's getting all of the best of all the worlds we offer.
And I said today, we have a lot of experience with the Fido 300. We used that with Foster, our dog Foster, when he had cancer, and to give him that support. And it helped on multiple levels with him. So, and I think we were dosing him. I think we were like 4 a day, 2 in the morning, 2 at night, just to really load him up and help him out with that. So,
that's good. That's
really good.
So that kind of covers the pet products, and then I will just speak to our human line. Oh, peanut butter. Yes, thank you. That was holding up a piece of paper for me. The peanut butter. Brand new.
Like today new to us. So.
Today new to them. Yeah. So we have 3 peanut butters we offer. We have the Nutty Dog, which is has CBD, so it's exactly like the plain Jane, where we're not adding any functional items in there. The Chill Out and the Hemp and Joint, those have the functionalities the same as the soft chews. So the cool part about the peanut butters is there's 240 milligrams of water-soluble CBD in here. So this is an oil CBD. This is actually that water-soluble CBD that we are putting into the peanut butter. This is great if you're home now and they're starting to, you need to occupy them. They may be having some anxiety.
Coming up, you've got to learn something about CBD, and you want your dog to be quiet. So
exactly. So the Chill Out is fantastic because it does have those additional properties of the chamomile and the passion flower.
One of the big things we love to do with peanut butter is, I like to put it in my Kong, put a bunch of good stuff in the Kong, I cap it with peanut butter, and I stick it in the freezer.
Yes, and that lasts so much longer.
So much longer, and they love licking that out. It was always our dog's favorite crate toy. When they go in the crate, they got their frozen Kong capped with the peanut butter. There's the CBD nanotechnology still play out even if it's been frozen?
Yes. Yep. You can totally freeze it.
Okay.
And the cool thing is, dogs licking by nature is a calming action for them. It calms them down, and then right behind that comes, in Nutty Dog, the CBD, in the Chill Out, all the other functional herbs. And so, that follows, and then you have a really chilled out, happy dog. I think it's the coolest delivery method we have in products.
Putting that in any kind of puzzle toys that we have, keeping them occupied, because we say this all the time, but 15 minutes of puzzle play is equivalent to a 1 mile walk.
Yes, it's very stimulating.
So, you're taking 5 walks a day. Maybe you could cut one out. Your dogs would probably be like, "Oh, thank God. I don't go on another walk."
Yeah, I don't want to go again.
I can't do this. I can't.
The really cool thing too with the peanut butter is this is the same dosing as in a soft chew. So it's just a different delivery method. It's peanut butter instead of a soft chew. So this is for 1 tablespoon, you're getting 10 milligrams of CBD. So again, if you had that 25-pound dog, you're going to do a half a tablespoon. That's that 5 milligrams of the water soluble CBD.
And a half a tablespoon would be the equivalent to 1 chew then, right? With the
you got it. Yeah. That's right.
And it's an excellent value. You're getting 240 milligrams. A lot of people are like, well, why am I paying $30 for Nutty Dog and $40 for the functional peanut butters? And it's actually a really good deal because there's 240 milligrams in the Chill Out and in the Nutty Dog and in the Hemp and Joint Nutty Dog. And it's $5 less than the soft chews. And the reason is because simply and transparently, it's easier to process. It's easier to manufacture.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to pass the savings on. So you're getting 240 milligrams for $5 less than in the soft chews.
And there's no, this is all natural peanut butter, no added sugars, nothing, just peanut butter and CBD and the other, whatever it might be. So we just, at this point, we brought in the Chill Out and we brought in the regular Nutty Dog. We haven't brought in the Joint yet. But I'm still a believer. I think that if you have, if your dog has joint issues, let's work with the treats first. Water soluble, like treats first. Make that your number 1 choice. Or if they really have issues, then do the plain Jane with the joint support. So, if these take off and we'll do well, these are the 2 top ones. Then we certainly can get the joint support. So,
awesome. I know it's so hard. You think you've got it, and then you're like manipulating.
I know. Yeah. So now the exciting part,
right? Our human line.
Yeah.
Soul Vibe.
Yeah. So our human line is Soul Vibe.
We carried Soul Vibe. So
yes. So they carry the full line of our Soul Vibe. This is for humans. So we do have our Soul Vibe balms. They come in 3 different varieties. So we have one with arnica. Look at Matt.
Matt's doing a presentation. Yeah.
Matt, put it in the freezer and then put it in the ice in the morning. You will love it.
Ooh. Oh, for sure. We're doing that. These bags are getting bigger and bigger.
This turned into a beauty session.
Just the refrigerator, not the freezer. But it feels so good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
But we created Soul Vibe because, there are so many different strains and people doing CBD right now and so many different levels of absorption and how well it works. And people were looking at the Super Snuts going, wow, I want that CBD. I don't want to, I know I can go buy it online and somebody else's, but I want the results at my dog's. And that simply is why we came out with the 6 line of Soul Vibe. To be able to give it to people.
Yeah. So and I have to say I've been taking the Soul Vibes with melatonin at night just to help, because everything's going on, and frankly, just thinking about work and you're thinking about everything that's going on all the time, and it just sort of helps take that edge off. It doesn't. It just kind of helps relax you, and there's no hangover. There's no like crazy like sleepwalking or anything like that. It's sort of like, takes that edge off. And the regular CBD does the same thing. Some days if you wake up and you're just whatever, a little anxious or something's not, you're just thinking about 8 million things like we all are. You do take, take a capsule and it just sort of like, you realize it later. You're like, oh, I don't feel that way anymore.
Mhm.
Anxiety anymore. And you kind of keep on, but you don't feel groggy. You don't feel anything other than just a little bit. It kind of takes those rough edges off, sort of.
Yes.
And I equate it to almost like defragging your computer. You just sort of work a little bit better
Mhm.
when you're so it really helps just kind of like get all the little screws in a line and working better. So we do have a question. I'm going to show this. This is from Diane. Where can we ask additional questions and get some recommendations specific to our pets offline? Jeff, can we call you? I'd love to get some advice. Yes, and I would probably recommend. I mean, certainly feel free to ask Tammy and Christy tonight. But if you want to do something, you can certainly message us. Just use Facebook Messenger, and we'll help you out with that. And if there's questions that I can't answer, I'll forward them to Christy or Tammy, and we'll absolutely help you out, because that's what we're for. And I know some issues can be complicated, and we all want to do the right thing, and it's sometimes just not knowing where to start. So if you guys want to add anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it when people come up with this question, because it is confusing, and we can get you on the right path with your dog.
Yep. Now, what about for cats? We talk a lot about for dogs, but now is this all, can cats, what do we do with our cats? That some of our cats need this.
Absolutely for cats. The only thing I would be leery of with cats because of hairballs is the peanut butter. I don't, so I would be careful of the peanut butter. There is also lavender in the balm for pets.
Right.
But everything else is made for cats and dogs. All the soft chews, all the tinctures.
Okay.
Perfectly fine for cats.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things that we talk about tinctures, so those of you that want to do that are still using use the oils or the iso hemp oils, one of the things that we've had success with, because we've used it with our dog Potter, and we just put the drops on a spoon, and then he literally just licks it off the spoon. So you don't have to fight your dog. And that goes any essential oils or any oils that you're giving your dog, put them on a spoon, and more than likely they will lick those. They'll lick it right off. It's very palatable, and it's just an easy way. You don't have to, you don't contaminate the dropper by putting it in their mouth. You don't have to fight them by putting it in the mouth. You just drop out, the droppers are measured out, so you know what to put in. Put those couple little drops and hold it up, and they just go, whoop, whoop, and they lick it up, and you're done. And just make sure it's not 30 minutes before, or it's 30 minutes before or 30 minutes after food or water. But that's just another way to deliver the oils.
That's an excellent suggestion, Jeff. And they're probably getting better bioavailability because they're taking smaller licks of it instead of just squirt. Some of it goes down their throat, and you saw what happens when it hits the gut.
Right, right. So I think it does. I think that way it stays in the mouth a little bit. You've got a little longer time. I've got a question from Donna. So can the balm assist with arthritis pain, and can it be used with the gel caps? So I'm assuming this is, Donna, is this for your dog, right? Or do you want it for human? If you can just.
Yes, and yes. Both.
Yes, and it's yes for everything.
Yes for everybody. Okay. Okay. So you could use both then. Okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
And just to note, in the human line, the capsules, each capsule has 25 milligrams of the water soluble CBD. So it's a larger dose. She just replied dog. So yes, you can use them both.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
I got a question. Why would I use an oil over the water soluble?
We'll talk a little bit about
I might have missed that. I might have been spacing on that point.
I think the biggest reason why you would use an oil over a water soluble is for faster delivery absorption. It's going to be faster, where the edibles have to go through the gut and liver and absorb into the cells. And so that's going to take 45 minutes on average, where the tinctures, I've seen it as fast as 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
At least 15 minutes just to, to be absolutely sure.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Excellent. So if anyone has any additional questions, otherwise that was the line. And I think, do you want to make sure we make our announcement then for this?
Yeah. Go ahead and make it.
Okay. So for tomorrow, which is Friday, That would be April 24th, 2020, for those of you, because this will live on our Facebook channel.
Christy's birthday.
Oh,
Christy's birthday.
True.
I'll show you what I'll be doing.
We're doing a birthday sale. So we are going to be putting perfect. All of our Super Snout Hemp Company products will be 25% off tomorrow, Friday, April 24th, 2020. That'll be online. It'll just be automatic. So when you put your products in your cart, they'll automatically show up at the 25% discount. So that's really a huge savings and something that you guys can really want to try this out. So I do have another question from Barbara. Barbara asks, I've got a 60-pound dog, a dog with arthritis and pancreatitis. On prescription food, would Nutty Dog be okay? And what kind of dosage?
Because of the pancreatitis, I would ask your veterinarian about the fat content in the peanut butter for sure. But I would lean more towards either a gel cap, because it doesn't have it doesn't have any fat in it, or a chill out, or I'm sorry, a hemp and joint. Right.
And I think it just depends on, I would start with this is what I'm going to say. I would start with the suggested dosage, see how your dog does for a week, maybe week and a half on this dosage with arthritis. And then if you need to increase it, then go from there. But always start at the lowest dosage. And you could do the gel caps, or you could do the chews. But start at that lowest dosage and then work up from there. But the beauty is, with pancreatitis, you want to decrease that the inflammation in the body. You want the lower fat. You want to be careful about what they're eating to make sure that that doesn't flare up. But these are going to be.
Do you think that the super shrooms would be a good option?
Absolutely, yeah.
For that inflammation that's happening in the pancreatitis.
And also the joint power, the hemp and joint that has the greenlet muscle. So greenlet muscle not only decreases inflammation in the joint and connective tissues, it also decreases inflammation in the brain, the heart, the eyes, anywhere where you have fluid drawing in. And so it's all about the omega-3 fatty acids. We sell it as a joint supplement, but it actually does so much more. And we can get into that on another in the kitchen with you guys later, because we could go on for a long time about just the benefits of greenlet muscle above and beyond joint. It's something that we take every day and our dog gets every single day.
Right. Perfect.
Especially as we get older.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's true. It's true. So I do want to just make sure I take a moment to thank everybody who's been watching today, everyone who watches in the future, to spend that time, because this just shows that if you made it this far, you really care. And you and your cats and your animals and doing what's best. And that's why we created our store, was to help you. That's why we've partnered with folks like Christy and Tammy from Super Snouts and the other companies that we work with, because they are as committed or more committed than we are to the health and wellness of our animals. And we can really, as we're going through all of this, and it's crazy times and all of that, but there are so many good people working at such a high level to help our animals. And where we started 15 years ago, I couldn't have had this conversation 15 years ago. And when Christy started in this, I don't even know what conversation we were having. In 1990, so far ahead of where we are now. And so it's just, we go to trade shows and we talk to new people and find these new products, and we're just like, it's like a kid in a candy store, but we just can't wait to get back and have products to help people and help dogs. And that's when we see these products like this, and when we see the continual improvements that are happening, it just thrills us to no end to be able to have a tool to use to help your animals. And that's, help your veterinarians, help us, help your animals. And we're all in this together. And so anyway, I want to really thank Christy and Tammy for taking all their time tonight to be able to talk with all of you. And for Matt to help out, and for you guys just to be online. So if you have any other questions, certainly now's your time, to chime in. Otherwise, if you think of something like I always do after this is over, either message on this presentation, I'll keep looking at that, or if there's something you want to do offline, just Facebook message us, or if you're on YouTube, message us. I always look at our YouTube channel. I do have other, in the kitchen presentations you can certainly review on there. We're going to come up with more of these as well as we move forward to be able to bring more knowledge and information to all of you. So, yeah.
Jeff and Matt, thank you so much. We are so grateful for your passion for your customers and for your support for our company. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful 50th birthday.
Yeah, have a great
Enjoy. So, and wear masks and gloves. Do what you can, but
I'm
yeah.
not going there.
Yeah.
I'm going across the street to our neighbor's house.
There you go. Just
We're
be
going to hang out in their yard and eat salmon. It's awesome.
Perfect. Well, everybody be safe and healthy. And again, thank you for taking that time to watch tonight. And we will see you around. So
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everybody, for watching.